Hey guys, Ben Big Stuff here. Welcome to another version 2.5 firmware update video. So today we're going to be talking about trash control stuff. And today we're going to be talking about the roll race error curve in particular. So what that means is that you have the ability in the Gen 4 ECU to be able to compare the front to rear wheel speed and make some timing adjustments based on the amount of air of front to rear wheel slip. So to talk about this, we're going to go over here to our SR2 section. We're going to go over here to where it says SR2 selection. Okay. Down here at the very bottom, you're going to see where it says roll race mode select. Now, you can have two different modes, the street mode or the strip mode. Okay. So the street mode basically always has the roll race always on. So it's always going to be comparing the front wheels to the rear wheels. Okay. So you can look at the roll race RPM select for both the street or the strip. You can choose either the rear wheel or the dry shaft signal for the rear RPM reading. Most guys are typically going to use the actual dry shaft sensor, and that's what this toss RPM input is here. Okay. So you can also enable it so that the custom port editor, or if you may have older software, maybe called the generic port editor, you can also enable it so that only certain conditions are met will it actually allow this timing curve to take over. So let's just say, for example, we're in the street mode. We're using the dry shaft for the rear wheel speed. And obviously the front wheel speed is always going to be a 2-wire VR magnetic sensor. But we also want to say, you know what? We only want this table to be enabled based on certain conditions in the custom port editor, right? So what I'll do is I'm going to come over to the system section, custom port editor. Okay. And if I come over here now to the custom ports 2, you'll see here that it says roll race SR2. If I had not enabled the CP roll race condition here, this will not have shown up. All right. So now this is how it's available to be used. I'm going to click enable. I'm going to choose the active is on and the power on is off. So what that means is when this is enabled, when the output channels are not true, I'm going to be off. When my output channels go true, I'm going to go on. I can program an active delay of the output channels. I can program an inactive delay in the output channels, and I could also program a pulse time. So if anytime they go true, we're just going to pulse the logic, whatever it is we're trying to control. Okay. So I'm going to leave all those blank for now. What I'm going to say is here, I'm going to say unless my throttle position sensor, okay, which is TPS underscore filts, okay, unless my throttle position sensor, okay, is greater than 30%, then I do not want this logic to be true. So basically, if I'm under 30%, don't compare it, don't pull any timing. There's no reason in case there is some slippage detected because I'm not wide open throttle. I don't really care. Okay. I could also say, and the boost, let's just say I want to at least have, and I'm greater than 4 pounds of boost. All right. So you can adjust this any which way you want. So now, in order for the curve to actually take effect, I will need to have greater than 30% throttle and more than 4 pounds of boost. Okay. Burn that. Now you have to remember anything with the jerk port editor, it will need a cycle of the ignition. So once the ignition cycles back up, this logic is all enabled and everything's true. Okay. So now I'm in street mode. I'm on the rear dry shaft as my rear RPM select. My custom port editor has been enabled. Now I want to configure my actual roll race error curve. So I go to System, Roll Race Error Curve. And basically all this table does is it looks at the RPM. Now again, we're comparing the RPM, okay, from the front to the rear. This is RPM. So we're going to be comparing however many pickups you have in the front, so however many pickups you have in the rear. It does the math and it says you have an error of 10, 100, 200, okay? So the biggest amount of error that we can see here is 255 RPM. Now you have to remember, this is a spark retard table. So I'm just going to use this as an example. I'm going to say that I want 20 degrees, okay, over here at 255. Remember, this is already a retard. I do not put a negative number in here, okay? This is a retard number. And I'm going to highlight this entire row, and I'm going to press this interpolate button over here, right over here next to the X. I'm going to click interpolate, all right? So now I'm going to be going and I'm going to be retarding as I get more and more slip. based on whatever my base timing number is. Now, what I want to do for this table is you can see the wheel spin RPM stops at 60, but it's going off of the table. So an easy fix for that is to come over here to the upper three dots, this upper left-hand corner of this window. I'm going to auto scale the y-axis maximum, and I'm going to auto scale the x-axis maximum. If I close out this window and go back into it, okay, now you'll see here that the window has adjusted. I'm now at 255 RPM. Remember, this is a positive number because we are retarding based off of the amount of wheel spin that we're actually getting, okay? And this is just timing, all right? So what'll happen is as we get more slippage, it'll just pull more timing. Now, remember, this just goes in conjunction with however much timing is in the system. So if you have, let's just say, a boosted engine and you're at 20 degrees total timing under 10 pounds of boost, it's going to then pull this timing based out of where you're at on the timing table at that time. So if you had 20 degrees of timing at 10 pounds of boost, well, now you'll have 10 degrees or so at 132 RPM because it's going to pull 10.3 degrees out of the 20 that you had in that base table, right? If you have spark adders and spark subtractors, depending on the programming, this just gets added to the mix. So it will pull out however much timing is based here on this RPM error curve, okay? Big thing to remember here, this is an RPM error. This doesn't take a lot of RPM to make a big difference. That's why the max number for the actual wheel spin RPM is 255, all right? So if I was to close this window down, I was in the street mode. Now I'm going to go in the strip mode, okay? Now what the strip mode is going to do is the strip mode is going to act and only start based on the SR2 timer enabling. So if you have it set for strip, it will never start and look at that table until the SR2 timer is running. That is the release of the three-step. That's the three-step mode is deactivated. You're now going down the racetrack. The race timer has started. So now we're still looking at the rear drive shaft RPM. My CP condition is still enabled, so unless I'm over 25% throttle and 4 pounds of boost, okay? But the thing that we add here is that we add a delay. So let's just say your car likes to wheelie a lot. Well, if your car has got the front wheels in the air, you're obviously going to have way more rear wheel speed than the front. So you have a delay here that you can program and say, okay, you know what? I want to do some back of the track stuff. I don't want to look at this timer until 3 seconds out. Okay, so now when I'm 3 seconds out, I will start looking at that table based on the front wheel spin, the rear wheel spin happening. 3 seconds, 1001, 1002, 1003. You're going to be way out there. So when the front wheels are back down on the ground, now you can compare and you can look at it. Okay, so remember in the strip mode, you don't have to be with the CP condition as well. It can just simply be, okay, strip mode, race timer, dry shaft sensor, and then at 3 seconds, just start. Okay, totally up to you and how you want to program it, but the roll race works really good. This is the document on our website that talks about the roll race control. It's very simple. This is actually a small little CAN network that is actually installed on the ECU. So you can see here that there's a little roll race harness that's installed. It's above the SD card. If your ECU does not have this, you can give us a shout. You can send it to us, and we'd be happy to install it for you. It comes with the front wheel speed sensor, okay? And then, again, you can use a rear wheel speed sensor if you want, or you can use dry shaft. Most of our guys use dry shaft because they're already using a dry shaft sensor inside of their system. This diagram is inside of the Gen 4 tech section to get you more information on this, but it works really well. It just simply pulls timing out based off of the air from the rear to the front tires. So if you got a freeway car, if you like doing some roll racing, boom. And if you start to lap the tires, they'll just simply pull some timing out based on that rear wheel spinach. And anytime it sees the air, it'll just keep pulling it out to keep you going. And a lot of times, unless you're crazy overpowered, it'll grab, and then just let you go, and then you're out. Then you're out of there because the slip has been handled and you're still accelerating down. If you don't have this in place, the tire can just take off. You're just making all the power, and then you're just spinning, right? And spinning ain't winning. So that's how the roll race mode works. If you're in version 2.4 or earlier, you will not have these features. So when you upgrade to version 2.5, you will have these features. Any more questions on this, you can check out our website at www.bigstufftpm.com. Send us an email at support@bigstufftpm.com or hit us up on our socials on Facebook or Instagram. Thank you.